refined, and that which can be retrieved from it is alchemized out of it, is dissolved or soluble like a salt in warmed water, and there was a lessening of its density as well as an increasing of it, because it becomes more of a kernel portion of what continues to rise from it, and thus generate an inverse proportion of levity to its initial inertia, we'll say, or gravity, more likely with the metaphor. Anyway, so the WOAAA is when it all goes down. It's at the end of the fifth age, or the fifth epoch. Steiner breaks time, or we'll say the ladder of being, into 7 epochs, and within each epoch there's 7 ages, and first epoch was a sort of primordial sludge. There's no discernment between sun, moon, earth, and we're all sort of a stew of goo. In the second epoch, there is a separating of the sun from this liquid assembly. And the third epoch, which sees halfway through, we see the first appearance of the human form, which he says is ghastly, grotesque, monstrous figures that we would be shocked to hear the descriptions of what they looked like. But anyway, this was ancient Lemuria. The third epoch was ancient Lemuria, and of which the last of the races, the last third, the Lemurian races, which can also read the Lemurian ages within that epoch, were the seeds that bottlenecked out of that society and became and emigrated to what became the fourth epoch, which is Atlantis. Out of the last third of the Atlantean epoch, we have another funneling and the creation of our current epoch, the fifth epoch, of which we'll think of is broken down into 7 ages. Think of it as A to B. A is the flood, and B is the WOAAA. And we'll go in through, and all 7 of those are broken down. You have the ancient Indian, the ancient Persian, as our second age. Our third age is the Assyrian, Babylonian, Chaldean, Egyptian, Jewish. The fourth is the Greco-Roman, the Greco-Latin, excuse me. The fifth is our current state, Steiner's 1905 current state. The sixth is what we'll talk about as the community of Philadelphia, the sixth age of our current epoch. And the seventh and last age of our current epoch is Steiner likens to an overripe fruit. And we'll continue that metaphor later. So we're looking at the WOAAA is coming at the end of the 7th age within our current 5th epoch. So this war let's talk about the war of all against all. What is this? It's not a war of nation to nation per se. For the significance of this will not have significance as it did in Steiner's 1905, as he said. And as we look, at the corporatization of the globe and the less of an economic bearing that nations are able to carry per se, though still we have the vestiges of its, the ones with the teeth is sunk deepest still have this capacity to function as a national system. But the earth is finding other routes to politicize its economic trajectory. So, this war of all against all, as it's coming in this at the end of the 7th age in our here 5th epoch, can be seen as a person against person struggle. And this is going to occur in every branch of life. It's class against class, it's caste against caste, and it's sex against sex, it's being against being. being against one's own being. And the ego, this bifurcated sword of what are we showing, our inner freedom and our untarnished love, or the desire to accumulate any type of power from an externality, be it through geographic, monetary, sexual, or material-based in any sense. And which of these bifurcated egos is performing. And so this ego is, he calls, the bone of contention. And it's a reflection of, our ego becomes the Janus face of our highest and lowest capacities, the sharp two-edged sword. And so who brought the full ego, the sort of, in the trajectory of the consciousness, evolution of human potential, we can look to the one and only, without further ado, JC, brought the full ego consciousness to man, and he is symbolically represented in the Apocalypse as bearing this two-edged sword in his mouth. Here we have the wheat from the chaff, and this is the first occult seal, as depicted in Steiner's book in the Apocalypse of St. John. And this is a really interesting state. A lot of fear is connected with the notion of the separation of this wheat from the chaff, or goats from the lambs, or and Steiner really presents a clear lens in how to view the totality of this occurrence as a necessity which forces the greatest good and the amount of energy necessary to push away that which rises its opposite even higher. So when beings have learnt to utter I with this full consciousness, it is in their power to rise to the highest or sink to the lowest. And this, we should talk about the birth of the egoic consciousness, and also the crystallization of the inception of earth consciousness, as tied with JC and Golgotha and its alchemical relationship between the blood of the sacrifice and the reception of that sacrifice by the Earth Mother, the planetary force in consciousness. This would almost be a sort of insemination point for planetary egoic individualization. So we can look forward to this sixth age, the community of Philadelphia. This age will be taken, from this age will be taken those human souls who have to pass over into the following epoch. And the incarnations that are occurring in this community of Philadelphia, which is, I believe, where we are currently today, are coming from Steiner's generation. And so we have a faster unfolding of reincarnated souls towards this sort of ever-increasing evolutionary transubstantiation. And, then Steiner says the seventh age, after the community of Philadelphia, is sort of hearkened from this, from which will proceed a number of people full of understanding for the spiritual world, filled with brotherly love, which results from spiritual knowledge. Basically what we see here is the bloom coming from the East-West integration and the sort of chaotic elements released in terms of consciousness within the 50s, 60s, and 70s, re-emerging in a current state today. This is clearly linearly past Steiner's timeline, and so we can't say that we are exactly there, but we could say that we do see signs of as he puts it, people who beam with the face of JC, who resound in the spheres with their mere thoughts, who are beheld in